I have some questions about FRBR. Actually, I have quite a few questions about FRBR. Um, and this is just some of them. When people think of FRBR, they mainly think of the Group 1 entities, which are the work, expression, manifestation, and item. And the way that these are shown in FRBR, the way that they are diagrammed, it looks like a kind of a linear connection, that the expression connects to the work, the manifestation connects to the expression, the item connects to the manifestation. And then there are other entities that can connect to these. The subject connects to the work. Persons can connect to any of the Group 1 entities. But I think that people, in trying to work with this, and I find myself that I'm having trouble working with this linearity and trying to understand what it means. So to some people, it means this, that you have an item and that item embodies a manifestation, which embodies an expression, which embodies a work. So that it's still somewhat linear, but they basically are contained within each other. Other people see that linearity or in a very similar way, but reversing it with, and this is sort of the object-oriented sense of it, which is that the work is holds the expression. So expression is expression plus work. Manifestation is manifestation plus expression plus work. That the information in each of these sort of flows down so that it does make a whole. However, this isn't really the way that object orientation works, in that expression is not an instance of a work, manifestation is not an instance of an expression. So this is a bit of a twisted view of things. Another possible view is the one that would be used more likely on the semantic web, which is that entities have meaning in themselves, they have attributes, but they can recombine in any way. This is something that FRBR has not embraced. And as a matter of fact, I think this goes contrary to FRBR, but I also think that it shows a bit why we're having trouble fitting FRBR into a semantic web type of environment, where there can be a great deal of creative remixing. And FRBR doesn't really allow that creative remixing. If we had that creative remixing, we could then, of course, also connect up Group 2 and Group 3 entities, subjects, agents, persons, corporate bodies, with any entity in the Group 1 space. I happen to think that we need, at least for subjects, to be able to do this, because I do believe that there are subjects that are not simply limited to the work, unless we're really treating subject as a very narrow view, so that you can have an author for whom you would want to have a subject that says things like, Welsh 19th century authors. That pertains to the author, not to the work itself. We do today give subjects to manifestations. They tend to be of the genre nature, so that many manifestations end up with a -- bibliographies, because included in the manifestation is a worthy, notable bibliography that you want to bring out to the users. Some people would say that manifestation is just made up of works, and so if you have a primary work and then you have an extensive bibliography, those would be two different works. But I think that this is a sort of a misinterpretation of that wholeness of the manifestation, and in a sense it's a misinterpretation of what it is that publishers do when they put together a package that is coherent and has meaning of its own, and that, I think, is a manifestation. By having all of these connections, I think that we go further along in the in the creation of a true web of bibliographic information. So instead of having something that looks like a record where only certain things can connect to other certain things, what we have here is a true web of information. I'm not at all sure, though, that that's going to be possible with FRBR the way it is defined today. That ends part one of my FRBR thoughts, and I say part one because I'm sure that there are going to be other parts to follow.